Well, good morning folks, and welcome back to Tok here in Alaska, where as you can see the day has dawned. Absolutely beautiful. Should be a cracking day's ride today. Today what we're going to do, I've got the map out in true kind of Norris style. We're starting off down here. We're in Tok, and we're going to go up this bit that we've marked in green here, up the Taylor Highway via a place called Chicken onto the top of the world highway onto Dawson City, and we're going to be crossing the Canadian border into the Yukon. I think that might also be a time zone, so we're going to lose or gain an hour, whichever way it works. So that should be absolutely brilliant. 100 miles of dirt road included as well. That little line on there, believe it or not, is about 200 miles. So that's today's ride. The other, I've just been sorting out my bits and pieces as you have to do when you're in this vlogging game, and I've had another. I'm always having issues with GoPros. These are the batteries that I use. I brought about 8 of these. I brought some spare ones. Unfortunately, I've already lost 3 en route. What tends to happen with them? Here we go. Here's one. This morning, the little back end fell off. And it means you can't then remove the battery from the camera. So that's on one down. So I'm on to 6 batteries in total now. Anyway, we'll see how that works. But all right, looking forward to a quick bite of breakfast. Then we'll jump on the bike and hit the road again. Okay, let's hit the road. Mrs. Fly's on the back. Got a little bit of gravel to negotiate here, but it's good practice for later when we do our top of the world highway bit. So up here and left, basically. And we are on the road again. What an absolutely glorious day to be riding to Canada. Wow, this is nice. It's 56 Fahrenheit already, which feels just perfect. Right, now on this particular ride, there's not a lot happening. Hopefully there's going to be some good views, but there's not many places to stop and stuff like that. So the only stop actually is a place called Chicken, which is 93 miles away. So that'll be our first stop. I don't know if you can get coffees there or whatever, but we're definitely going to get some fuel there. But if the weather stays dry and bright like this, it's going to be a cracking ride. So stick around, stay tuned. Let's see what day 2 of our trip brings. So our stop at Fast Eddie's was excellent, I have to say. They had those little, they weren't really log cabins. Well, they sort of were, but very spacious, very clean, very comfortable beds. And the breakfast at Fast Eddie's restaurant was excellent. So we feel stuffed. Well, not too stuffed for riding, but just about right. But all round it is good. So if you ever find yourself in the Tok area, I cannot recommend it enough. Give them a go. Tonight we're, as I mentioned, staying in Dawson City in the Yukon, which is sort of a frontier type town. I think they do play on that a bit. So looking forward to seeing what we get to there in terms of the hotel and what the place is like. But it's about, we think, about a 7-hour ride to get there, even though we're just crossing the Tok River, look. I keep calling it Tok because it's spelled T-O-K. It's actually pronounced Tok as in poke. What was I saying? Can't remember. Anyway, yeah, looking forward to getting to Dawson City and checking that out. But we've got that long, not off-road, but gravel road section to do, which is why it takes so long to get there. Even though today's ride, I think, is about 220 miles in total. We're anticipating the gravel bit taking about 4 hours based on previous experience of the tour guides. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not 4 hours of peril. Man, this is one long straight road. If ever there was a road where you need cruise control on the bike, this is it. Impressive looking river. This is just a cracking road. The surface on here is amazing. And look, there's absolutely no traffic. Surprise, surprise. But the surface is amazing. Oh, there's a bit of traffic. They do like their trucks with the trailer on. Although that one wasn't one. We've seen quite a few of those road train type trucks. The mind boggles how you would reverse one. Or whether you just never bother, you just don't get into those situations where you need to. But huge tip of the hat to the drivers that drive them. Right, we've got a left turn coming up in about half a mile, which is pretty much the only one, so we don't want to miss it. Could this be it? Dawson City 165. Where's the turn? Here's our turn for the day.
Customs 109 miles, basically that's the Canadian border. And Chicken 66, and the aptly named Boundary 104 miles. Everything is just on a grander scale here. Next service is in 67 miles. Thank goodness we filled up back in Toke. Right, we'll settle in then till we get to Chicken. One of the hazards to look out for on the roads here is of course wildlife. This area is known for its moose, and a bit later bears, but we'll talk more about that later in the tour. But Mrs. Fly did actually see a moose yesterday on the road. I wasn't paying attention, I was looking at the road. But seems pretty much everybody on the tour saw this moose except for me, and of course I didn't have the camera switched on, so that was a bit of a shame. Oh, there's a bit of loose gravel. Slow her down. Oh, this stuff is horrible. Quite deep, this loose gravel, and it can catch you by surprise if you're not ready for it. Wow, look at this road, it's got a bit of a climb to come. Oh, there's some more without warning, and a hole. Ooh, away with it. Let's just slow her down a bit. Rough road, I think it's giving us a hint. Right, and relax onto the gravel. Ugh, that feels horrible with the bike squirming around. You have to really just try and relax and let the bike do its own thing, but it feels so unnatural to me. It's one thing when you're doing it on your own, but it's something else when you've got someone else on the back. Some more. I think I'm just going to have to keep my eyes skinned for those changes. The mind boggles how they actually made these roads, because we are hundreds of miles from anywhere major. So the guys that did the work on this road were out here for the long duration and cut off from civilization as they did it. Also, the mind boggles why they bothered building it, because it doesn't really go anywhere. Well, I suppose Dawson City. Anyway, I'm glad they did build it, because it looks great. Right, onward. £1,000 fine for littering. I'm glad to see that. They should do that sort of thing at home. You don't see any litter on these roads. I suppose they don't get much traffic, but it's all very, very clean around here. Now this is definitely a wilderness area, as you can see. I mean, there's this road, but there's nothing else anywhere that you look across here. But the trees here look like they're burnt. I suspect there's been some forest fires through here at some point, and they're obviously trying to recover. And somebody was telling us back in Anchorage that the forest fires, they tend not to worry about them too much because there's so much space. They just let them burn themselves out. And also they can't get to them to fight them anyway. And then she also told us of another phenomenon where the fire persists underneath the permafrost and can suddenly pop up somewhere else. And those are known as zombie fires. I've never heard of those before, but apparently they're quite common here. Look at that. Absolutely stonking. Wow, what a vast place. Here we go, here's a good example of some of these burnt trees. These have definitely been burnt. And actually looking at the colour across and ahead, I don't know if you can see it on the GoPro, there's just miles and miles of trees and they all look to be burnt. So at some point there's been a massive fire go through here. So we've been talking a lot about the wilderness and the emptiness here, but guess who's joined us? Have a little look in the mirror. You see that? We've got a flipping white van behind us. I can't believe it. What is going on? Unbelievable. There's absolutely no escape from the blighters. Oh, and by the way, if you are a white van driver, I don't mean any harm by it. Normally they block my view. In this case it's behind me, so it's fine. No doubt out on an Amazon Prime delivery. So we've just stopped at a little rest area. There's a little log cabin there with some facilities in, which are surprisingly good. And well, rather than sound like we're really knowledgeable, there's actually a sign here with some information on. But basically what it says is this is a gold mining area. And this is called the Taylor Highway that's running down here. And every year there's the largest herd of caribou in Alaska across this road. So in the fall, which is autumn to you and me. Anyway, there's an awful lot of mosquitoes here, about the size of sparrows, which is why we're leaving our helmets on. Let's get back on the bike, shall we?
Quick!
Right, let's get back on the bike then. Mrs. Flyer's already mounted the steed. It's quite an effort to do it on this when you two uploaded up. Right, let's get this show back on the road. View map. What are we dealing with? 48 miles to Chicken, it says there. Sounds about right. So these little rest area things are dotted along here every sort of 20 or so miles. There's the facilities. It looks innocuous, but I tell you what, it's really handy. So have no fear on that side of things. Is it clear, Carol? I'm told it's clear by my capable assistant. What an amazing view in the rear view mirror. Right, settle in for another 30 miles or so to the next fuel stop. We've got to top up because then there's no fuel for well over 100 miles and we want a bit of contingency in the old tank. Don't think much of these road repairs. These guys in this truck appear to be just dropping tarmac into holes as they go along as a sort of a temporary fix. That's different, isn't it? Well, at least I think that's what they were doing, maybe not. The road surfaces on this bit are a bit variable. Every now and again we come to those gravel bits and you have to slow down and just chill as you go through the gravel. There's another one coming up here. Then you get a nice bit of road again, then you get a bit that's, you know, got potholes in. Right, let's relax the old shoulders, grit the teeth. Actually this bit isn't too bad, it's well worn in. It's the deep stuff that you want to look out for. These mosquitoes here are absolutely deadly. I had one bite my face last night and I had a bump the size of an egg come up on my cheek, which was very attractive, so I'm trying to avoid that again today. Oh, dip. There we go. Right, to comply with the traffic signs. So even though we're tracking basically east, haven't started going south yet, the weather is definitely improving as we go. It's 60 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment and it's just 5 to 11 in the morning. So I think by the time it gets to evening we'll be knocking on 70, which would be very nice indeed. Might have to shed a fleece layer. I think as we do track further and further south later in the trip it's going to get properly warm. Well, properly hot actually. So we should make the most of this fresh air. This is the freshest air our lungs are likely to get for a long time. So when I've done tours like this before with groups of people, I've often had comments of people saying, oh, you know, why didn't you talk more to the locals, or we'd like to know more about those in your tour group. And I completely get that, and where I can I will. But number one, in this case there aren't many locals, because let's face it, there is absolutely no one around. Look at this place. And then the other thing is the other people on the tour, of course, are paying customers on their holidays. They may not want to be on my video, so I don't want to ram a camera in their face if they don't want to. Having said that, I don't think anybody on this tour has said that they don't want to, so that's absolutely fine. And of course of an evening we do get to socialise, which is fantastic. So you get to do the riding during the day on your own if you like this, as if it was your own tour, yet you still got the chats and drinks and stuff in the evening. So that's all great, kind of the best of both worlds in this case. But I'm sure you'll get to meet some others who are on the tour. They all seem, I think we've met them all now. Everybody seems to be a very nice bunch of people from all walks of life as well. You meet some interesting people on these trips. Hopefully I'll get a bit more of that later on in the tour, but no guarantees, alright, we'll see. Some people are shy. Oh, bit of gravel. Got away with it. Oh, river. Alrighty, just 34 miles to go to Chicken. Here's another section with all those burnt trees. Look, obviously some fire issues here. Not that it's a big issue in such a wilderness area, I guess. Road surfaces now are starting to get much more variable. We're getting more of those gravel patches, and as you can see, the surfaces themselves are a little bit variegated. Nothing too bad though. Just got to sort of look ahead down the road a bit and work out what's coming. Here's a case in point. Look, the road is now basically a dirt road, but this is fine. There's a little bit of loose gravel on it, but it's not too deep. I don't want to talk anything up, but at this speed it seems fine. So if this is the extent of what the top of the world highway is going to be like when we get onto that 100-mile section, then no big deal. He says, keeping his fingers crossed. What's this signage all about? Ah, roadwork ahead. Doesn't matter where you go. Look, there's a man with a stop-go board up here. God, that's a boring job in this part of the world, isn't it? I wonder how often he has to flip his board. Do you think it will stop us? It'd be hilarious, wouldn't it, if it's on stop when we get to him? That's got to be one of the most boring jobs in the world. Poor man, I hope he gets paid a lot. Oh, it's on stop. Hilarious.
Is it woman?
It's a lady as well. Hiya. Oh. I wonder why we stopped. How long do you have to do this during the day? How long do you have to do this each day? Oh my word! How do you stop being bored? Fair enough. I hope they pay you well. Good. Assume we go behind this fella. Is that how it works? We get an escort perhaps? Yes we do. Thank you. See ya. Well, this is a new one on me. I've never had a follow me car on the road before. Presumably it's just so people keep their speed down, but clearly he doesn't know the lack of skill I've got on this sandy surface. Check out the angle this digger is working out on the side here. Incredible. I suppose they're well capable of it. Assume that means I go past. Thank you. Well, that was novel. I can't help but think actually some temporary traffic lights would probably be a bit cheaper. But anyway, great fun nonetheless. Right, moving on. Well, excitement is building on board the Missenden Flyers bike at the moment, because in 2.8 miles we've got a right turn, and on a day like that this is a big deal. So yeah, looking forward to that. Right turn towards Chicken in 2.7 miles. Stay tuned for that, folks. Right, downtown Chicken, turn right. Right, looks like this is where you get your fuel, so we're going gas up again before we head on for the Canadian border. Sorry, we're out of diesel. Alright, doesn't matter. Right. Alrighty, so we made it to Chicken, and look at us with our flippy front helmets. How cool is that? But yeah, so this is the one fuel pump for like 100 miles or something, so just there. And there's a bit with a couple of chickens that people like to have their photograph taken by, so maybe we should do that in a minute.
Why not?
I'm just going to have a quick look in here and see what's going on in the gold panna. You coming in or staying?
I'll stay here.
Okay, she's been in. Just want to have a little look in here. And
as it turns out, it's just a very fancy gift shop, so nothing to see there. Right, I think round the corner somewhere we can go and get a coffee, so I think that is the order of the day. Right, we come to the real chicken now, and Carol's made my day because she's got me a cherry pie, one of my favourites. Oi, hands off.
So you were the big fan.
So that didn't last very long. So just before we leave Chicken, a few chicken facts for it. It turns out the place is called Chicken because the original settlers couldn't spell ptarmigan. Yeah, right, I bet. And also, Carol is very clued up on chicken facts. Carol, what do you know about it?
It's a very interesting place. Originally gold...
This way, so the sun's in our face.
Sorry, originally a gold rush place. In the winter, there's 15 people that live here permanently. When the snow comes, you're in for the winter. There's no getting out. You're medevaced out to Fairbanks in case of emergency. Post is once a week or once every 2 weeks dropped in.
What does the population swell to in the summer? That's what I was after.
It's enormous. It swells to 30 to 50 people.
Well, it's a pretty huge place. Anyway, here we go.
Also, no flushing toilets.
Is that true?
Yeah. No cell phone, mobile phone signal.
Really?
No.
Well, what could we do? No flushing toilets. That's serious. There is a chicken poop over there that I have just actually tried. It wasn't as bad as it looks, actually. Anyway, onwards.
Right, we are exiting Chicken. Splendid little coffee stop and cherry pie thing there. We're going to head now up here towards the Canadian border, which is a little while, yeah, I think it's about 20 miles past Chicken, and we'll see how that goes.